Everybody, it is Terrific Tuesday. It's your girl, Coach Cheryl. And guess what we're doing on today? We are reviewing and recapping Married at First Sight. Yeah. Hell, I almost didn't do this series because we just came out of Ready to Love. But when I started watching it, I was like, yeah, we got to get on here. We got to talk about this. So if you're joining me, I want you to say hello so that I can see you. Also, be sure to share this and let me know in the comments if you have been watching this season 12 of Married at First Sight. Let me know if you have been watching. It is a doozy. Look, let me just say this. One of the reasons I wanted to watch it was because it had a Christian couple. They promoted it. They had a Christian couple. And so I was like, I talk about on my YouTube channel all things for singles, Christian singles. So I was like, oh, I'm going to have to watch it. And then I started watching it. I was like, oh, praise the Lord. So let me know in the comments, and I'm going to peek down at my phone. I want to see if you all are watching it. I am going to review episodes 1 through 3. I'm getting a late start. And then on next week, I'm so geeked, I'm going to bring some of my girlfriends with me. And for the remainder of the season, we're going to be chopping it up and chatting it up together, all of us. So it's going to be fun because I wanted it not just to be me and you, just to not hear my voice, my thoughts about Married at First Sight and what that is and would you do it. And for those that are watching that have never seen Married at First Sight or don't know what it is, the premise of the show is that um, relationship experts get together and they look at different characteristics and different traits of individuals that want to be married, and they pair them together who they think would be a good couple. And the couple has to agree to legally marry this person without ever seeing them. The first time they see each other is at the wedding. So I want to know from you all that are watching, is this something that you would ever do? Would you ever agree, for especially all my singles and even my married people that are on here, if that was you, and if do you think you would have ever done that? Like marry somebody sight unseen, like for real, sight like unto the scene. And I'm going to be honest with y'all. I am believing God for marriage one day, and I want to be married. But yeah, I don't know if I would. I don't even know if I would want an arranged marriage. Like I don't even know if I would want my parents to arrange a marriage for me, and then I married that person. So let alone my parents, like strangers that do not know me outside of what they may see on on paper, what I look like on paper. And I guess they probably do interviews and all of that as well. But I just don't know if I would feel comfortable doing that. So let me know in the comments, would you? Would you do Married at First Sight? Uh, Sight unseen, marry somebody, trusting, because this is basically what you have to do. You have to trust the experts. You have to trust that they're going to look at the things that you desire, the things that you say you want. You have to trust that they have your best interests at heart. You have to trust that they know the different kinds of personalities that mesh well together, the different kinds of backgrounds that and value systems that work well together. So you have to do a lot of trusting. And here again, these are people that you don't know. You don't know these experts. So you are hoping and praying and believing that they actually know what they are doing, and you just don't know. Hey Rayon, thanks so much for joining. So for me, it's just a whole lot of unknowns, and I don't think I would ever do it. I don't even know if I would do. No, I'm pretty sure no, I don't think I would. I won't say never, but I doubt that I would even do a dating reality show. At one time, I thought that I would, risk it, and I might try it. But y'all, I have sometimes I have control issues. And so for that fact of being in an environment that I don't have any control over, that would be scary for me. Also, this whole now dating, that be different, but this is like these are legal marriages. This isn't just like let's play pretend and see. These are actual legal marriages that you are agreeing to enter into based on this expert panel's decision that the two of you would make a great match. So that's the whole premise of the show for those of you that have never seen the show. And it takes 5 couples, so 10 singles. They pair them together. They come together at the wedding. That's the first time they see each other. And then they go on a honeymoon. They move in together. They go through the whole thing, as well, not as if they were married, because they actually are married. And so my answer would be, I don't think that I would do it, but who knows? If y'all see me next season on Married at First Sight, then you can tell me I was wrong. And I did it. But anyway, so let's jump through. And I'm not going to give an exhaustive because there was so much. The first episode, I think, was like 2 hours. And they're very, very long. And actually, I think right now they're doing episode 4. And so I'm doing 1 through 3. No, it's not tonight. It's tomorrow. Tomorrow, episode 4 airs. Excuse me. So we're prepping for next week. So let's jump through. And first, I'm going to introduce you to the couples. So I'm going to pull up their photos on the screen so you can see who they are. The first couple is Brianna and Vincent. And I'm going to go through episodes 1 through 3, going through each couple at a time. I'm not going to do the jumping back and forth. I'm going to go straight through three episodes on one couple, and we're going to go through all the couples like this. Brianna and Vincent. Brianna is 28. She is an engineer, and Vincent is 28 also. He's an auto broker. And they give all of the individuals like this little name that kind of gives you an idea of the kind of people they are. And they call Brianna the outspoken optimist, and Vincent is the legacy builder. And so they paired these two together. And what you find in episode 1 is you get to actually, meet their friends. They find out that that the experts have found a match for them. And so they're excited and they tell their friends. Now, the friends have different reactions and responses. Some of them are like, I can't believe that you are doing this, because you can see Brianna's friend was like, oh, they found a match. Oh, you excited? Hey. You can tell she's trying to really be excited for her, but a part of her is like, what? Like, so I know you told me you were going to do this, but you were actually going through with it? Okay. And so it's so interesting seeing them go back and forth. Her friend was like, you spoil, you like having your own way. How do you think you're going to be paired with somebody? And here is the thing. Sometimes you think you know yourself so well, but often other people know you in a different way, and they see things that you don't see. Because, here's Brianna saying, when I'm in a relationship, I'm really good. And her friend's like, really? You selfish. You like to have your own way, and then when you don't get your own way, then you kind of pitch a little fit. So it was just kind of interesting seeing their dynamic as she tells her friend that she's been, matched with somebody and she's getting married in 2 weeks. Can y'all imagine 2 weeks? Do y'all know how long people plan for weddings? But they have 2 weeks and they're going to be married. And it was interesting. One of the comments that her friend says to her, she was like, it's like you're playing Russian roulette. And if you think about it, you are allowing, I tell people that I think that there are 2 decisions that you make in life that will change the trajectory of your life in an instant. One, I think is the most important decision that you'll make, is deciding to follow Christ. Is the most important decision that you'll make in life. I think the second one that comes right up behind that is who you will marry, because they are controlling a big portion of your life. And so you're leaving this decision up to someone else that does not know you to make that decision about who you're going to marry. And so we meet her friend, and they go through that, and she tells her that she's, been chosen and she's gonna, get married. And then on the flip side, you see Vincent with his friends. What I like about Vincent was he had just like this really cool group of friends, and they were, you could tell, from different kinds of backgrounds. And so it kind of speaks to the kind of person that Vincent is. And so you can tell he's very, very family oriented. He just seems like he comes across as a really, really cool dude, with a good head on his shoulders, really stable, really solid. They both come off like really stable, really solid. Brianna might be a little controlling, but I like this couple. I like the pair. I like the match that Lifetime did, that the experts did for them. I really, really like them. And at the end, I'm going to tell you whether or not I think these couples will make it, or if I don't think they'll make it. But I like this particular couple. So even as we go through them meeting each other, well, not meeting each other, they're friends, finding out that they're going to be married in 2 weeks, and the kinds of questions that their friends ask them, we move from that particular setting of them, telling their friends, I've been selected, I'm getting ready to get married in 2 weeks, that all of the women and all of the men actually have like a meetup. And so that's that couple. And so I think I'm gonna do a little different. I'm gonna introduce all the couples first, because I think that's important to the rest of it. So that's that particular couple, which I've already told y'all I like Vincent and Brianna. Our second couple is Haley and Jacob. Haley and Jacob. Now, I'm going to be honest, and I'm going to give you my personal opinion about them. And I want to know you all's opinion as well of these couples. Let me know what you feel about them in the comments, and then we can kind of chit chat about it after I jump off. But I want to know how you all feel about these couples. Yeah. Haley and Vincent. Not Vincent. Jacob. Haley is 28. She's a sales rep. Jacob is 38. Did y'all hear those ages? Haley is 28. Jacob is 38. I want y'all to hear the age ranges as well. They call Haley always the bridesmaids. She has been in, she said, almost, she can count 14 weddings that she's been a bridesmaid in. And so she's like tired of being the bridesmaid. She's ready to be the bride, which is one of the reasons why she chose to actually be a part of this, what they call a social experiment, to see if it works. When she tells her friends about it, they are beyond shocked to me. It's almost as if they are a little mean to her, in my opinion. The way they receive the information, the comments that they give to her are almost like little digs to her. And so in my mind, I'm thinking, how good are these friends to her? Do they have a really, really good, solid friendship? Or are these people that you just kind of hang out with, that you kind of go out and have fun with? Because even if I thought my friend was doing something like this, and if a friend, family member of this, I would be like, really? Okay, girl, I'm here for you, and whatever you need me to do, I do. But yeah, I do think this is a little whatever. But the way they approach it is not, to me, not like concerned that, this is, people can be anybody. It's not that kind of concern to me. It's kind of like, oh, here's Haley doing something crazy and stupid. It was that kind of vibe that I got. If y'all didn't get that vibe, let me know in the comments, because I may be reading that wrong. But I may not be. They mentioned in there that her last relationship ended when her boyfriend got someone else pregnant, and she hasn't had one since then. That would make you take a break, wouldn't it? Not just that he had cheated, but yeah, there's going to be a new addition to the world. And so that is Haley. Now for me, Jacob is different. They call him a nerd. He is an IT person, and he is different, on the borderline of a little strange, just a little strange. He's more, to me, more than just a nerd. He's very, very different. They call him the offbeat homebody. All of his friends, he mentions that all of his friends are married, and he kind of feels like the left out, and so he says this is his last chance for love before 40, and he really wants to find love and be married before 40, which was one of his reasons for actually doing the show. Now, this is what I found interesting. He loves remodeling projects, and he said he hated mowing his lawn, so he made a beach out of his lawn. So he just put like sand in all his backyard. Now, I might not really like mowing the lawn, but would I just cover it in sand? Probably not. But, he's got a tiki bar out there. He's got a pool. So, it works for him. So he has a beach in his backyard. He is in love with 80s and 90s memorabilia, to the point where his friends talk about in later episode where he just gives like not outside, but inside jokes about 80s and 90s movies. Yeah. He's different. He's really, really different. So that is Haley and Jacob. And so let's go down to the next couple is Clara and Ryan. Clara and Ryan. They are very interesting. Clara is 27. She is a flight attendant. They call her sassy and spunky. Ryan is 29. He is a project manager for a software company, and they call him Mr. Confident and Calculated. Mr. Confident and Calculated. What I loved about Clara, her intro was talking about how she's a risk taker, and she did this because she said it was worth the risk of doing this and finding a really great match than the risk of just being alone. So she was like, I can either do what I'm doing and not get great results, or try something different and maybe the results will be great. So she's a risk taker. She's had a string of just recent, I think she's had a 6-month string of horrible dates. One being the last guy that she dated. She said Venmo'd her $100 because he wanted to take out her friend. Yeah. That's different. Okay. But anyway, I think her friends are very, very supportive of her. I like her energy. I like her personality. She's really bubbly. You could tell she's the life of the party. She's just a real go-getter. So I like her. Ryan he's 29 and he's never ever told a person that he loves them in any relationship. I thought that was a little interesting too. Kind of reminded me of what was it, Anthony on Ready to Love, who said he had never been in love, and I think Anthony was in his 30s. But here he's 29 and he's never said I love you. Bling bling. Anyway, he says he grew up in a really conservative rural area and was a super minority. And when he says super minority, he said there were 700 people in his graduating class and only about 15 were black. That's a super minority. Can you imagine? But so he's grown up being a super minority in this community all of his life. And so most of his friends are white. The people that he's dated have been white. And so what was interesting also was, and we'll find out in another episode, was that Clara mentions that she wants to marry somebody who is racially ambiguous. What does that mean? When she said that, I was thinking, huh? You want to marry somebody that's what? Racially ambiguous. So it's almost like I want him to be black, but not really black. Like I want you to have some attributes of a black person, but like not all of the attributes of a black person, or the attributes I want you to have. Okay, y'all, that's me. But to me, that's what racially ambiguous. That's the undertone that I got from it. Because who is racially ambiguous? Like, I don't even know what that means. That was my first time ever hearing that. I'm gonna say that in a conversation just to see what people say. I want somebody I don't want anybody that's racially ambiguous, but I'm just gonna say it just to see, how other people view that. Have you all ever heard of that terminology before? Let me know in the comments. I never heard of that before, but that's what it made me think of. Like, okay, racially ambiguous, like not black, but almost black, but not really black. But anyway. And so that is that couple. And then we're going to move down to Virginia and Eric. This is another interesting couple, Virginia and Eric. Virginia is called Miss Fun Loving. She is 26 and she's a customer service customer service agent or specialist at a marketing firm. And Eric is a pilot, and Eric is 34. Yeah, they're playing with these ages ranges, but I'm here for it. Go for it. Um, Virginia is a party girl, like for real, a party girl. She loves to go out. She loves to hang out. As we will learn further in the episode, she loves to drink, drink. She is a drinker. She's the product of a divorced household, and she talks about abandonment issues that she has. She's been single for 5 years. The last relationship that she had kind of just made her put a pause on it, and so she's going to be going from not being in a relationship from 5 years to being married immediately. Married immediately. That's going to be interesting because I know me, like I haven't been in a relationship in a little minute, and to go from like no relationship to being married and somebody's in your house, that'll shock your system. But anyway, that's what they're going to be doing. And then let's see our last couple. Ooh, and we, and that's why I'm leaving them last when we're going to discuss them, is Paige and Chris. Now, Paige and Chris are our Christian couple. And I want to leave them last because I want to discuss what's going on with the saints of God. With the saints of God. Okay, Paige is 26. She is an accountant, a realtor, and a real estate investor. My girl Paige got it going on, y'all. Paige is taking care of business. She's 26 and she is running stuff. You hear me? I like her. I like her. Chris is 27. He is a finance manager and a restaurant owner, entrepreneur. And Chris is interesting, as we will find out. Oh, so interesting. Um, she believes marriage is a part of her purpose. Um, yeah, yeah. I'm just gonna leave them there because the most of this show of this is gonna be talking about Chris and Paige. So we're gonna run back up to the top because and y'all stay to the end for Chris and Paige. And if you've been watching this show, you know what I'm talking about. Praise the Lord. Okay. So far, you all, I'm just gonna say, so far on this show. Okay, now I'm not gonna say that yet. I'm not gonna say that yet. So let's run through uh Brianna and Vincent. I told you when the show opens up episode one. I just ran down briefly what happened through episode one. They tell their friends that they are getting ready to get married in 2 weeks. The next thing they do is the ladies meet up. All 5 ladies that are part of the show, they meet up. They get to kind of hang out and talk, and they vibe and get to know one another. And during that, them getting to know one another, they ask all kinds of questions. What are your deal breakers? What are you hoping to get from this experience? What are you hoping your husband's going to be like? All of that. Just girl talk, just little chit chat going on. And what I like about Brianna is she is really, she's so settled and she's so secure in who she is from all intents and purposes. What we see in the first 3 episodes, we'll see tomorrow in episode 4. But she's got her stuff together, and she knows what she wants. I believe she may be a little rigid, which most of us are. I don't know very many women that are A-type personalities that aren't a little rigid. I'm an A-type personality, and I'm a little rigid. So I understand who she is because I can see a lot of myself in a couple of the women, but especially in Brianna, because she's like, I got my stuff together. This is it. But she's open for love. She's open for someone to come into her life. And so I love her. I love her vibe. Vincent, like I told you all before, I think they did a really, really good job putting these two, this couple together. I think they nailed this one. There's some of them that I don't think they nailed, but and we'll talk about them. But I think they nailed them. So the first episode, like I said, the women get together, then they have a bachelorette party. Yeah, where all the women get together in their party. They're talking about, the future. In that party, you get to see who the women are for real, not on paper, not in the nice little girl meet up, but after they've had a few swigs of alcohol. When alcohol is presented, you typically find out who people are. I'm not a drinker myself and never been drunk a day in my life, so I don't know what that experience is like, but I've seen people. It's different, because you lose all those inhibitions. And so we get to see who holds it together, which for me during that bachelorette party, and it may have been because they didn't know each other well, everybody really holds it together with the exception of one person, and that is Virginia. Virginia gets so drunk that she's in the bathroom and throwing up. Yeah. I'm gonna leave that there till I jump down to her story. But yeah, so Virginia's, I think she has a little issue with alcohol. But anyway, she, maybe not, maybe she just likes to party. But anyway, that's that story. So they do that, and then after the, what you'll see is you'll see the men. The men also go have a bachelor's party. Yeah. After the bachelor's party, of course, there are strippers. Now, they didn't have, I don't believe I saw strippers at the bachelorette party, but there are strippers at the bachelor party. Yes, they are there. And our wonderful Vincent actually breaks up, a little conversation with one of the strippers. And the strippers are in cages, y'all. And he decides he's going to, yeah, and he has a prolonged conversation. It's not just like, "Hey, girl, how you doing? This your second job?" It wasn't that. He had a prolonged conversation with her that threw up a little flag for me. But I don't know if he was just trying to be cool with all of his friends or what. But yeah. Now, after all of that, I'm gonna tell you. Um, okay, I'm gonna leave that there because then we'll go through episodes 2. So that was episode 1 for Brianna and Vincent, who I told y'all I like this couple. Like, I really, really like that couple. Then we have, and I should have done this initially, but I didn't, Haley and Jacob. Um, I think Haley is really, really level headed. And I think Jacob is different in a way, excuse me, that I don't know if Haley's ready for. Um, because he's real, real quirky. And while I think Haley is bubbly, she's got a lot of energy, I don't know if she's ready for Jacob's level of quirkiness. And uh, because he's a nerd, but not even just a nerd, because I know a lot of nerds that are just, computer heads, that's what they, and they're different. But he's a different kind of nerd that, yeah, I haven't put my finger on it yet, but just, it was bordering strange, and I'm sorry if that's offensive, but yeah, he's a little bit different, and so I don't know how that pairing is going to work, but it was interesting. Even when they're at the bachelor party and the guys meet up, he's that's it. He seems socially awkward. He's socially awkward. I don't think he does well in environments where he doesn't know people, and so he stumbles and he tries really hard, but he hasn't mastered how to deal in social environments very well. So and that may just be what it is. He's socially awkward. He may be really good because he seems to have a really, really good close knit friend group, but amongst people that he doesn't know well, he doesn't seem to mesh very well with them. Although Haley she's just a sweet person. She seems to mesh well with just about anyone. And I can say that probably for all of the women. All of the women, I think you could put them in a room of strangers and they would do fine. They would do beautifully because that's who they are. and that's how they present themselves. And so even when oh, and I missed something on Brianna, but I'll come back to it. After they do the meet and greet, after they do the bachelorette party, I forgot they actually go dress shopping, wedding dress shopping, and the men go get their tuxedos fit. And so they go through all of that, and I'm kind of cut some of that out because a lot of it isn't important until I'll tell you the couples that I get to that it may really, really be important. But a lot of that is just extras. But I want you all to, as you're watching this show with me, because this is what I want you to do, is watch this show with me. I want you to watch personality types throughout the show, because I think that's going to be important when we see them move in together. So the whole social awkwardness, I want you all to watch that whole 80s, 90s vibe that Jacob gives us. I want to see how that plays out in their lives together as they try to become one, as they try to merge their lives together. One thing I didn't mention when I was talking about dress shopping, let me drop down to it. Okay, here it is. One thing I noticed when Haley's going dress shopping is I noticed how her mother prayed for her. I thought that was really, really interesting. Her mother and one of her friends go dress shopping with her, and you could see her mother's concern. You know how a mother would be concerned, like, okay, my daughter's gonna get married to a stranger, and how she prays for her. I noted that was something that I thought was really, really special. Um, and what she prayed was that they would complement one another and be happy. So in this whole experiment, her mom is praying, let them complement each other and let them be happy together. And I thought that was really sweet, um, really sweet about that. Um, when they go to the tuxedo fitting, what was interesting to me was that Jacob talks about how he's had a few nightmares about the process. Yeah. He's so nervous. He's having nightmares about the process. And this is a statement that he makes. He says, what he wants to do is compare his weirdness to his wife's weirdness, the person he's going to marry in this process, to see how they match up. He said that's how you get to know somebody, is you compare their weirdness to your weirdness, and I guess to see if you can deal with. And that was a different way. And I guess that's a way of saying, your inconsistencies, your frailties, your the things I may not like about you. Let's see what that is, when we sit it next to mine, and can we deal with that? And I'm thinking that's what he means by weirdness. And I was like, well, that he may have something there. He actually may have something there. And so that's Haley and Jacob. And then Clara and Ryan. What I like about this couple is, even though they each have their own little quirks, I think they may fit well together. Just by the way, and I haven't talked about it, but by some of their characteristics, some of the things that they talk about, their friend groups, I think they may be really, really a good fit. The only thing that I think may be an issue, and you start to see it when Clara goes dress shopping, is you notice she's really, 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 really picky. Like, really picky. Like, not just your average, oh no, I don't like this, silhouette. I don't like this shape. I want this. It's just a whole nother level. And you'll see it unfold as the episodes go forward. That she's really specific. She's detailed. And I wrote this down, and I put this highlighted. She's getting on my nerves picky. Like, not just I am detail oriented, but just like, okay, that's enough already. Okay. So she's really, really detail oriented. And what was interesting to me is, I know women, when we get dressed or when we wear something, we have a feeling that we want the outfit to evoke. I was interested to see when the men were trying on their tuxes, the kinds of ideas and feelings that they wanted that tux to evoke. And what was interesting to me was Ryan said when his wife sees him, he wants her to read from what he has on that he's safe, comfortable, and successful. That was so interesting to me because I was like, when men pick clothes, they're not just thinking like, maybe successful, powerful, but like, safe, comfortable. That was his thought process of what he wanted her to think and how he wanted her to feel when she saw him. But even as we get to know Ryan better, we get to know Ryan is a different kind of man. He's a different kind of man, which I think is really, really interesting. Um, so that was okay, I'm sorry. That was interesting. And so that's that couple. And then let's go to Virginia and Eric, the last part of episode 1. Um, what pulled my heartstrings about this was Virginia's family is having some issues with her going this route. Her family is really not into it. Her dad says he didn't envision her getting married like this. He does not like the process. Even when she's talking to him over the phone, you can feel her hurt about that. And he makes this statement. This is what her dad says. He says, if nothing else, I can see it on TV. Like if I don't come, if I don't show up, I'll see it on TV. And so for me, that hurt my heart for her because I'm thinking, is he not going to show up? Is he really just going to watch his daughter get married on TV? Because he don't like the way she's doing it. But I don't have kids, so I don't know how that would feel as a parent for your child to choose this kind of process instead of our normal, date, court, engaged, married. They just went straight from matched to married. So I don't know what that would feel like. But I was hurt for her there. And even when Virginia went to try on dresses for her wedding dress shopping, she showed up with 2 of her friends. And you could tell she's a little sad because she's thinking nobody from her family is going to be there. But as she's in the back trying on the first dress, her stepmom shows up. And when she comes out of the back with her first dress on, she just weeps because, somebody's there for her. She doesn't have to do this by herself without a family member. And so for me, watching her, and even as the storyline unfolds, I can see, even as I think about it, where some of her issues, her abandonment issues come from. Maybe her feeling accepted may come from some of those issues. But the best thing that happened was her stepmom deciding to come, because that makes her day when her stepmom shows up. Now, this is also Virginia that gets like so drunk at the Bachelorette Party. So maybe it's an escape. I don't know. Let me know what you all think in the comments. What her drinking is about, because she's gonna drink. This won't be the only time you see her drink. She's gonna throw them back. Okay, and then we go to the bachelor party. Eric is, even though he's not the oldest guy on the show, that's Jacob, but Eric is almost like the most settled, in my opinion, as far as maturity. He is pretty laid back. Now, I must mention that Eric is, I believe he's the only one on the show that has previously been married before. He's divorced. And so he may be looking at things from a different vantage point, because what everybody else is after, he's been there before and it didn't work and he's trying again. And so he's like the voice of reason at the bachelor party when all the men are tripping, and I'll tell you what they did when I get to them. But, well, no, not all the men, just a few of the men are tripping. His mother is not here for this. When I tell you Eric's mother she's traditional. I could say some other things, but yes, she is not happy that he is going this route. She would prefer that he would do something else. She said she hopes that he sees the light. That's what she tells him. I hope you see the light. And she is shocked and appalled that her son is doing this social experiment. She is Mother is not happy, and mother, she's the kind of mother that is not happy and does not mind letting you know that she is not pleased with your decision making ability. She is not happy, like at all, like at all, at all, at all. Um, when he does his tuxedo fitting, he talks about, he wants his wife to feel confident and secure when she sees him. That was eye opening for me, just to see how they wanted feelings to be evoked by what they had. He really wants to be married. He says all of his friends are married, and he wants that in his life. Interesting, at the bachelor party, what he says is that he hopes his wife is not wilding out at her bachelorette party. And we all know that's what Virginia is doing. The only one at that bachelorette party that is wilding out is his wife. Yeah, the only one. Sorry, Eric. Hope you're ready. And then last but not least, Paige and Chris. Paige and Chris. Paige is, and I'm gonna say this lightly, but Paige loves the Lord. Paige believes that this show is ordained of God to bring her husband to her. And she is believing God that through the vehicle of married at first sight, the wonderful husband that God has ordained from the foundations of the earth is going to be there. And that is her hope, and that is her prayer. Now, Chris, who comes from a family of preachers, he said he was an ordained minister himself, but I guess financially it wasn't panning out. So there goes that. But anyway, so he wants a God-fearing wife, and so this is our Christian couple. And y'all, I'm just gonna tell y'all, this is the couple that says, proclaims Christian, but they have the most issues. But anyway, is that how we appear to the world? That's what I was wondering as I was watching this show. I was like, wow, this is interesting. This is really, really interesting. But anyway, so that's that couple. She said her only deal breakers are if the man is not God fearing and he doesn't want kids. Her brother was like, lies you tell. Those are not your only deal breakers, because you have dated guys that were God fearing and didn't have kids, but it didn't work. You got to have some more. And so, remember I told y'all Paige is the mover and shaker. Miss Accountant, Miss Realtor, Miss Real Estate Investment chick. He said, so what if he's God fearing? What if he wants kids, but he's making $7 an hour? Crickets, crickets, crickets. She's like, oh Lord, did you say $7 or 70? So we have to just actually be honest with ourselves and say what it is, even when things may not be how we want them to be. We have to be honest with ourselves. Now here's the thing, and y'all, I'm gonna do this because I see my computer's about to die. And I should have done this earlier, but I didn't. Okay, excuse the station break. Whatever you want, be sure that you are okay saying it. Just be okay saying it. It's better to say it than to pretend that it does not matter. If a man that is financially stable matters to you, then say that. I mean, you can say, it's not a deal breaker. I'm not going to not date you or not be with you. But to say that it doesn't matter at all, to pretend that it doesn't matter at all, I think it's a disservice to you and to the person that you may date or may encounter, because then you're going to feel a certain way about them, and it's not going to be any fault of their own. And you may mistreat someone that's a great person because they didn't tick off all the things on your list, and you didn't say, I'm going to look in the camera, you didn't say that was on your list. How are they going to know? that's even something on your list. If you don't say that's important, and maybe it's not a non-negotiable or it's not a deal breaker, but if it matters, you need to say that. And yeah, she act like it was all right, but her brother is like, I just been married for, he said, about a year, and he said, I know how hard marriage is. And what he tells her is, um you chose a difficult path in doing this. You chose a difficult path in doing this. And so I thought that was really, really interesting how her brother is. He's trying to look out for her and tell her, what is, what is. Okay, so now, y'all, I'm just going to go straight down and I'm going to take those next two episodes, which are the weddings, and I'm going to go through the weddings for each of them. And I'm going to go ahead and tell y'all right now that this couple is my favorite couple out of the whole group, and that's Brianna and Vincent. They are my favorite couple. If the experts didn't do anything right, and I think it's right, we may watch tomorrow's episode and find out it was all wrong. But from what I have seen so far, this is my favorite couple. I think they were paired really, really well together. And so what we see is, we go through all the weddings. Episode 2 and 3 are the weddings for the 5 couples. We see at the end of episode 1 the beginning of one of the weddings, but I'm not going to go in order. I'm going to go in order of how I like. No, it's not even how I like these couples. It's almost from less drama to more drama. Is how I'm going to outline the couples. Brianna and Vincent, they're both very, very nervous on their wedding day, as they should be, because they're getting ready to marry a complete stranger. Um, and what is important to Brianna, she said, is his voice and his looks. Now, y'all, I get that because I love the sound of a good baritone voice. Yes. So, but she says voice and looks are important to her. And I love the statement that Vincent makes. He says, I believe in destiny. So he's looking for destiny. He doesn't have a very great relationship with his parents. And he said he's always looked for the day that he could be married, have children, so he could be a great father. So what he didn't have is what he wants. And so I thought that was interesting. Brianna is absolutely stunning on her wedding day. I think she is beautiful. I think her choice of dress is beautifully. It fits so well on her body type. It's gorgeous, and I love her. On that day, she looks really good. I love the flow that she has with her sister and mom as she's getting ready for the wedding. What I love, and I love this about Vincent and his friends, they seem to have such a great connection. And I love the prayer that his friends have with him before they get married. And the men come in to the ceremony space before the women, of course. And I loved how when he came into the ceremony space, how he went over and met her mom when he entered. I thought that was like class act, that, he didn't just walk up there like sometimes they do. If you've watched Married at First Sight, some of the men go meet the parents and some don't. But I love the way he went over, are you your mom? And introduced himself. And what I noticed is that when both of them, when she walks in the room, when they both lock eyes and they see each other, you can tell that they both are happy. They're like, oh, thank you, Jesus. He's thinking she's cute and she's thinking he's fine. And so they're happy with what they see at first sight, and it. When they get there, they have where the officiant tells, well, this is what Brianna's family wants you to know about her. This is what Vincent's family and friends want you to know about him. And what they wanted him to know, and this was funny to me, was that she's giving and bossy. She's loving and bossy. She's goofy and bossy. They kept reiterating how bossy she is. And they were like, well, basically what you're getting is a loving boss. And they talked about how she's strong, she's independent, and she has a pure heart, and that she's going to love him well. And his family talks about how he's a man of God. They didn't even talk about him as a man of God throughout the show like the other couple did, but actions show. Anyway, I'm just going to leave that right there. how he's a man of God and he loves hard. I love that they did traditional and vows, their own custom vows in their ceremony. They did both. Most of the other couples just did their custom vows, but I love how they integrated traditional and custom vows. I loved how Vincent in his vows talked about the power. He believes in the power of prayer. I thought that was powerful for a man to say it. Typically, it's the woman that talks about those kind of things, but for him to say that, for me, was powerful. I absolutely loved that. And after all of the weddings, they do what we call this the after wedding talk. The after wedding talk. Hey, Bridget, thanks for joining. And it lets you see who these couples are. It lets you see how they receive each other, how they're feeling about each other. What you do notice is that they're very nervous. They both are. But I love their flow, that even though that they're nervous in it, I love Vincent's open heart. He just seems like a sweet guy with a really, really big heart. And I love how she says, I feel that Vincent is my person. And then she and her friend had this little conversation at the reception. And she was like, yes, bald head, check. What did she say? Beard, check. Tall, check. So he's just checking off so many of her boxes physically. And even at their first dance, even when they were taking pictures, they just have a really good connection. And so you can feel it when they are together, that they flow well together. And so that's one of my favorite couples. And let's go to Haley and Jacob. And I'm going to be really quick on Haley and Jacob, because Haley and Jacob have, I'm just going to walk through it. They are still in that stage where I think all of them are still trying to get to know one another, but yeah, they're on different levels, and I don't think they connected. Maybe that's the word I'm looking for. They didn't connect as well as the other couples. No, not all of them. Some of the other couples connected. And so I'm still trying to figure out where they are going. I'm still trying to figure this couple off. Haley, when she is getting ready for her wedding day, they all start out drinking. And I think it's because they're nervous, because number one, they're strangers. I am committing one of the biggest decisions in my life. And I'm going to marry a stranger. It's the biggest decision after salvation, I believe, is, I mentioned before, who I marry. And I've left it up to somebody I don't know to choose that. And so I think that might be some of their nervousness. And while most of them are drinking before, I think that's why. Maybe it's just, anyway, y'all can tell me if that's normal and I'm just out of touch. But anyway, so what I noticed was that Jacob says, and I wrote this quote down. He says, I'm one of the last guys standing, meaning one of the last guys standing that's not married. And he says, I'm ready to take a seat. So I'm ready to get married. And he doesn't mind if the person that they pair him with looks like Jennifer Aniston. I'm just going to leave that right there. I'm sure you don't mind, Jacob, if she does. Haley is, during that wedding day, she's a bundle of nerves. She is so out of it. She is so nervous. She is so scared. I think in her mind, she's probably wondering, what have I done? What am I doing? She's not here for it. She's excited because of the prospect, and she's the person that usually runs. And so she's trying not to run. She says she's usually the person that at the minute something's wrong, she will write you off at the drop of a hat. And so I think in her mind, she's talking herself off the cliff of not running. Because what we'll notice is that when she and her dad are downstairs and they're getting ready to walk into the wedding space, is that he pulls out a flask and he has to give his daughter a drink because she's just like freaking out. And her friends were like, "You're seeking in, isn't it? You're seeking in what you're doing. Oh my goodness, I can see it all over your face." And so she's down there with her dad. She's freaking out, and they're right by a door. And he said, "We can still make a run for it. We can still leave if you want to. The door's right here." And she's really thinking about it. She's like, "Yeah, it is." That's what happens when you just make decisions and you don't think them all the way through. That's another lesson. Think your decisions all the way through, because you have to live with your decisions. What was also interesting was Jacob, who has a nice sized nose, said he wanted to marry a woman with a bigger nose. I have never heard that in all my life. Like, have y'all ever heard somebody say, "I want a person with a big nose"? But anyway, I thought that was interesting. Let's see. I'm trying to figure out. Oh, at the end of the ceremony, they say, "You may kiss the bride." There was this long, awkward pause. Like, are y'all going to kiss or not? You're going to shake hands. You're going to hug. You're going to, fist bump. You're going to do something. And so after this long, awkward pause, he finally kisses her. And then after the ceremony, they have this little chat where and all of them do this. They go to this little table where they have champagne set up for them, and they kind of get to know one another. And that is the most awkward chat. Out of all the couples that chat, because they all do it for every couple, they give them some alone time after the ceremony to kind of talk to each other, ask questions, that you've never asked, or you haven't asked any questions. But they are so awkward in theirs. They're kind of like looking at each other, and the question is, he asked her on the scale of 1 to 10, where are you on cooking? And she said, about a 7.5. And she said, so do you cook, or, what do you like to eat? He said, well, I've been eating steak and eggs. She said, like, for every meal? He's like, yeah. Every meal? He said, well, I started this elimination diet, and now that's all I eat. She's like, wow, I'm not eating steak and eggs at every meal. I told y'all Jacob is different, right? Okay, I want to throw that out there again. Jacob is very pleased with what he sees with Haley, and why wouldn't he be? Haley is beautiful. The jury is still out on how Haley feels about Jacob, and not just for his looks, because he's not a bad-looking guy. I think the jury is out on how Haley feels about being married to Jacob, because every time Jacob says something, she sees another level of nerd, and different nerd, and then another nerd. So I'm thinking, she's thinking, oh wow, this is gonna be interesting. Now, one thing, I don't think it'll be boring. I think she's going to have an interesting time with Jacob. Yeah, we will be praying for Haley. So Clara and Ryan, and I should have run through all of these now that I'm doing it at once, but I didn't. Clara and Ryan at their wedding. Clara is the person that I told you all that is really, really particular. She's really, really specific. She's really detailed to the point of annoyance. And it happens again. I guess they hemmed her dress too short, and she's freaking out over that. She's freaking out because she's shown the hairstylist some pictures, and they didn't do her hair like she wanted to. She doesn't like the way they did her makeup. She does, she does her own makeup, and they put too much makeup on her. And so she was tripping about everything, just like about everything, nitpicking, da 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 da. And so she's just like this the whole time before the wedding. Then, Ryan decides that he wants to have them blindfolded. And so he's going to be blindfolded. Clara's going to be blindfolded. And they won't see each other till they're right in front of each other. So she's going to walk down the aisle blindfolded. And the first time they see each other is when they hold hands. He wants a connection, a physical connection. And then they open their eyes and see each other. I just thought that was not a good idea. Like, who wants to walk down a whole aisle and not? Okay, I understand the premise behind what he wanted, but I need the whole aisle to process that this is who I'm marrying. I don't need to get up in your face. Cause like, what if I make a face when I saw you? Or what if you make a face when you see her? You need a whole aisle of processing mentally that before you. I don't want to be in the. If I would do this, I wouldn't want to be right in front of the person that I have agreed to marry at first sight, like at seeing them like 2 feet away. That I think would freak me out. But she's a good sport because she did it, and I probably would have been like, no, I'm not doing that. Tell him I'm so excited about being his wife, but I don't think I'm gonna do that. Yeah, can we not do that? Can we do something different? But anyway, he does write her this beautiful letter when they give gifts. He writes her this. You can tell he's a person that feels deeply, and that's probably why he was talking about that holding hand connection and we won't see each other till we see each other together and all of that. You can tell that he is sensitive and he feels very deeply, which is probably why he went through that whole thing. But that's not something that I would have wanted to do myself, because I actually didn't think it was fair. And I think that was more how I felt about that. But I loved how his friends talked about him, how they said he was dedicated, committed, goal driven, loyal, and selfless. For people to say that about a man is just amazing. They called her energetic, free spirit, excuse me, hardworking, loyal, and the life of the party. I love in his vows how he tells her, "You can count on me." He is just he's a thoughtful person. You can tell he is a very thoughtful person. He's the kind of person that will probably obsess over the kind of gift that he would give you to make sure that it is personal. Not just that it's like you say, I want, give me some, Givenchy YSL cologne. He'd make sure that it had little notes that talked about, the first time he smelled it on you or something like. He's that dude, which I think is wonderful. I think he feels deeply, but I love what Clara said in her comment. I mean, her vows. What someone told her, and she said, "Love is when imperfect couples learn to love their differences." I thought that was really, really profound. I don't know if that's what love is, but when she said it, I was like, I think I like that. Let's see. They're after the ceremony. Chat is cool. When she asked him what his last name, and he says is Oubre, she's like, "Oh, what? You couldn't have been like Johnson or Jones or Smith or Williams. Is Oubre?" She said, "I was hoping for a name that I wouldn't have trouble spelling." That was different. How you gonna do the man name like that? But anyway, um, I even though I think they and every couple does have some little hills to climb, I kind of like them. I kind of like the yin and yang that they have going on. So I think they'll be good. They seem very natural with each other. They seem like their conversation flowed. I think that the only thing that may stand in the way is that Clara complains a lot. She complains about everything. They're sitting at the table eating dinner at the reception, and she's complaining about all those things we talked about earlier, about her hair, about her dress, and he's looking at her like, So she may have to pull that complaining in, because I don't know if he's going to be able to take a whole lot of Clara. All right, and so let's jump through the wedding of Virginia and Eric. I'm just going to go real quick through that. Yeah, I think Virginia was drunk at the wedding. Virginia started drinking the minute they got in the room, and she drank all the way till right before she walked down the aisle. After the ceremony was over, she was drinking after the ceremony. She was drinking after when they were taking pictures. She was drinking while they were at the reception. She was giggling, laughing all over the place. Like, yeah, she looked slightly drunk at the wedding. Yeah. I love you, Virginia, but you did not look like you were physically there. You were there. Well, I mean, you were physically there, but mentally and everything else, you were in the bottles that you were drinking all day. She drank all day. And yes, this is still Virginia that was drunk at the bachelorette party and throwing up in the bathroom. This is Virginia. She drank. But did that matter to Eric? No. Because Eric saw Virginia coming down that aisle and he was smitten because Virginia is beautiful. And he is a 34-year-old, and here is this 28-year-old beauty that is now his wife, and he is giddy. He is some kind of happy that he gets to be married to Virginia. So I think that Eric is willing to overlook a whole lot of stuff because he's got this pretty young thing on his arm, and yeah, that's all he could wish and hope for. But his mother is still not here for it. All through the wedding, you could tell she is not here for it. She is not happy, and she wishes he would have done something else. Oh, and I forgot to mention that when I was talking about Virginia drinking, she was almost a runaway bride too. Yeah, because she was having a full-on meltdown before she walked into the ceremony space. I didn't think she was gonna make it in. She was panting, she was pacing. Um, but like I said, Eric is he's gonna make her be all right. I don't know if they're gonna make it, but he's gonna make her be all right. Um, let's see. I think that's all I have for this. I loved this though. I think Eric notices how uncomfortable that Virginia is, that she's a little tipsy, and so he says, "We're gonna get through this, I promise." He kept saying that to her. We're going to get through this, I promise. She was more interested in kissing him than the seriousness of what um, they were doing. And what he notices and what he talks about is that she's a party girl, and he's kind of wondering how that's going to flow out. In that, I think Virginia may need Alcoholics Anonymous. I am not sure. Like I said, she just may be a party girl. I don't know, but yeah, she was full on drink. She was full on the drink. Our last couple, and I'm going to try to make it quick as we go through the wedding of Paige and Chris. Paige and Chris are the professed Christian couple in this group. And yeah, I'm just going to run down through it, y'all. Um, I am not sure, and I'm going to preface my comments of talking about this couple with this. I am not sure who in the expert panel thought it was a good idea for Chris to be on this show. I'm going to preface that with that. I don't think he had any business being on this show. So I'm just going to jump down through it. And if you're watching the show, you know. Anyway. Anywho, help me go through. And I see I'm over my time, so I'm going to have to run through it a lot quicker than I wanted to, but I am going to. And we'll just start recapping it next week when we do episode 4. On the wedding day, Chris is like, Paige says, "I'm about to meet the love of my life." I love her friends. I love her friends' honesty. I love how they seem to center and ground her, because I think Paige is the kind of heavenly in the clouds, and the Holy Spirit is speaking to me, and this is my destiny to be loved and to have children and to be a mother, and the stars have aligned, and yeah, that's Paige. Paige is just, she wants this so bad. She wants marriage so bad. She wants children so bad that I think that Paige is willing to overlook red flags, black flags, smoking sirens, rescue trucks, all of that, because she desires marriage and family so much. And she seems to have such a pure heart that she doesn't see like that a Mack truck is running down the road. Like a Mack truck that's on fire with several engines behind it. Yeah. But she's a beautiful person. And I was almost upset that they paired her with Chris. And so you will find out in a minute why I say all of that. So, in my opinion, Chris is immature. But let's just walk down through it. I love his grandparents. what they talk about when they're giving him advice. His grandfather tells him never be ashamed to apologize. Make sure that you make that things are right with you and your wife, even if you don't feel like you were wrong. Make sure that you apologize and you make things right. And the great advice that his grandmother gave to her. What did she say? Oh man, I can't even remember. And I thought I had written it down, but I didn't. But they just seem like just sound advice. This is what his grandmother told her. She said, don't make quick decisions, be open. She said, you have a tendency to make snap judgments. And so she's warning him not to do that. And so I loved the advice that his grandparents give to him. And I love how Paige's dad talks to her. Everything seems to be going great when we enter with this couple. Then when we are walking into the ceremony, Chris is at the end of the aisle at the altar with the officiant, and his dad makes a statement. His dad says, I'm ready to see my daughter-in-law. If she's pretty, it's a wrap. If she's not, aha, 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 aha. Because what we found out is that Chris is very superficial and he believes his wife should look a certain way. And so when Paige rounds the corner to get ready to proceed down the aisle, Chris has this look on his face and he curses. He was like, oh, blank. And the look on his face does not say like, yay. It says like, ooh. And so first of all, I'm not happy because that's the way he responded when he saw her, because Paige is a beautiful woman. So I'm like, why are you tripping? Because I mean, it's not like you Will Smith or like Morris Chestnut or nobody. But anyway, I digress. And so I didn't like the way he looked almost mortified when he saw her. But she's excited though. She's like, oh, this is the Lord's day. The Holy Spirit is speaking to me. And the Holy Spirit said, go in now. And then she gets in, and that's how her prospective husband, looks at her. He curses and like, oh my God, what have I got myself into? Because that was his biggest fear, was that his wife would not be attractive. He needed her to be attractive. And I don't think that he thinks that Paige is attractive. I don't know what his perception of attraction is, but Paige, I don't think fits that bill for him. But even though you see the initial disappointment on his face, he pulls himself together and he's got this smile plastered on the rest of the day when she's walking down the aisle. When her friends and family describe Paige, they describe her as Christ conscious, passionate, a risk taker, and she loves hard. Chris's family describes him as a hard worker. He's building an empire. He likes tailored suits, name brands, luxury cars. Okay, that's for another day. God, family, and he's not adverse to a honeymoon baby. We're going to leave that right there too. But they also say that he is a dreamer. Now, I think their vows are fine. His vows to her was like, where have you been all of my life? And, he vows to be vulnerable to her. He vows to cover her in prayer and that he won't take her for granted. And she's trusting God that God has brought them to this moment. She vows to love, honor, and respect him. And after that, the officiant says, you may now kiss, your wife. And so he stops and he looks at her like, oh, Lord, I got to kiss her now. He's like, you want me to kiss you? And she's like, yes, you can kiss me. He was like, on the cheek. And so she's looking like, you can kiss me. It's okay. And then on the lips. I really don't think he wanted to kiss her. Because, first of all, if you are doing married at first sight, this is now your wife. It is okay to kiss her. If she has just said to you, it's okay. She didn't say, when you first asked, is it okay to kiss me? She didn't say on my cheek. She didn't say on my forehead. She didn't say on my hand. She said, yes, it's okay for you to kiss me. Where do people that are married usually kiss? That's what I was thinking. But anyway, So he finally leans in and gives her a little peck on the cheek, and then they exit and they go to the little after ceremony chat where they're at the little round table and they got their little champagne glasses, and he tells her as they're walking that she's beautiful and she has a nice shape and her smile lights up the room. And that's where the train wreck starts, right there. Everything nice and beautiful from that moment. The train hits the station and everything falls apart because now, okay, we know that he doesn't find her physically attractive. He just doesn't. He doesn't find her physically attractive. And so he gives her a gift before the wedding, which was a necklace that had the infinity sign on it. Paige has an infinity tattoo on it, and so she sees that as a sign. Oh my gosh, he's giving me an infinity necklace, and I have an infinity tattoo. What did she say? The stars have aligned. And so she tells him, oh my gosh, you got me this necklace, and look, I have an infinity sign, this tattoo, and she shows it to him. And then he talks about his tattoo. Chris has a tattoo as well. So he shows, his tattoo, and she said, oh, that looks fresh. When did you get that? He said, oh, about, 3 days ago. And she said, oh, what made you want to get one, just recently? He said, well, actually, that was my ex's name, and I had to cover it up. Do you see the train coming down the track? That was my ex's name, and this is the first time that I had to actually, cover it up. He said, this is what was it? What was the tattoo? Oh man, I can't remember what the tattoo was, but I thought I wrote it down. But it's something about Jesus Christ, that he got over. A crown and a cross is what it was. He said, yeah, Jesus Christ, that's what it is. Yeah, I got this over there. And so she was like, oh, okay, all right. So he asked her about, what are, tattoos that she has. And then he asked her, because now one thing that Chris says was that after he became successful, that women were only after him for money. So he didn't want a woman that was after him for money. He really wanted someone that loved him for himself. And so they're talking about, what they do for profession. And so he asked her, well, what do you do? And she said, oh, I'm an accountant. He said, oh, you could tell he's surprised. He did not expect that. He said, okay, interesting. All right. That's scary. How is being an accountant scary? How is marrying somebody that's an accountant scary? But anyway, unless your books ain't good. But anyway, he's like, oh, that's scary. So she was like, okay. And then so she asked him, well, what do you do? And so he tells her, well, I'm, one of the youngest people in Atlanta that has a franchise for this certain brand. I think we learned that it's a Subway that he has. And he says, and I'm also, what was it? I forgot what else that he does. Man, I can't believe I forgot. But he also says that, he said, now I'm just getting ready next week to close on my first house. Finance manager, thank you. And he said, I'm going to be flipping houses. And she was like, oh, really? She said, yeah, I own a house as well. And she said, yeah, I have someone that's renting it. He's like, oh, interesting. Here's oh, and then she tells him, I'm also a realtor. He's like, oh, a realtor? Oh, that's cool. All right. But here's what I think is going through Chris's mind. Chris is so used to being the man in charge that he's meeting this young thing that's got her act together. And I don't think he was expecting that. Sister girl is not like twiddling her thumbs, waiting on you, because previously, and I didn't mention this, he has said he wants a submissive wife. She has to be submissive. Now you got this A-type personality woman, Miss Accountant, Miss Realtor, that already has investment properties. You just getting an investment property. And I don't know, in my mind, he's thinking, oh, this is different. This is not what I thought it was going to be. But I think it's a beautiful thing. I think it's a beautiful thing that she has her act together, that, business-wise, career-wise, he seems to have his act together, business-wise, career-wise. But it wasn't like, oh, snap, girl, all right, do your thing. It wasn't that kind of, it was like, interesting. Like, oh. it was a little undercurrent in his response to her. So I thought that that was different. So she sees that they talk about the tattoo, and she asks him a question: "Do you like dogs?" He was like, "Yeah." He said, "What kind of dog do you have?" And she said, "Oh, I got a Yorkie." And he's like, "Oh, my ex had a Yorkie." And if her face could tell the story, it's like, first of all, you talking about your tattoo. You know, you covering up your ex name. Now you telling me, she was like, why we keep bringing up your ex? She said, and I wanted to write it down. She said, have we closed those chapters? Because now she's wondering, are you over your ex? You've told me about covering up the tattoo just 3 days ago of your ex. Now you're telling me when I mentioned that I have a dog that you're old. Your ex had the same dog, that same kind or same breed of dog that I had, or a similar breed of dog that I had. Are you done with that? Are you happy? She said, are you happy to be here today? Like, is that done? Um, and then he said, well, I was engaged. And she said, really? He said, it was a few months ago. And this was Paige's response off camera. She said, it was not a huge red flag, but it was a big yellow flag. I was like, no, that is a huge red flag. A few months ago, this man broke up an engagement and is now getting ready to marry you. A few months ago? Like a few months ago? When did he write into to Married at First Sight? Like, was he still dating or engaged? That's how my mind would have been working. Like, okay, a few months ago, you were engaged. I don't know what the taping timeline is for these kinds of shows, reality shows, but wouldn't it take a little time for them to go through that whole process to vet y'all, to make sure y'all not crazy to be on this show? And okay, that's where my mind went. Like, you just left your ex fiance, not girlfriend, like we was dating and we was kicking it and it didn't work. That's a whole issue. But anyway, in that moment, she looks almost devastated, like she's confused. She's not she's not sure what is going on. Then we get to conversations that his dad and his friends are having about her. Now, if y'all seen this, Paige's got body. Paige is fit and fine. Like, yeah. Paige is, yeah, she's stacked nicely. And that's what they're talking about. Man, did you see your girl? And I'm like, it was to me almost a little disrespectful. Like, you can say, oh yeah, she looks really good. And maybe that's the way guys talk. I don't know if I would want my husband's guy friends talking to him about my body like that. Like, your girl is stacked. I mean, like, she's fine, man. She's fine. She's pretty. That works. But that conversation I thought was a little inappropriate. Especially his father talking about her body like that was just like, you all right with your daddy talking about her like that? But anyway, that's old-fashioned me talking. And I'm sure this younger generation would not talk like that. And then lastly, I'm gonna end on this note, although I could go on so much more, is the conversation. No, I'm talking about a couple other things that his dad has with her when she's asking for advice. She goes to his mother and father and she's asking for advice. His mom says, take your time getting to know one another, because when they done the toast, his father has said, y'all married now, I need a grandchild. Right after that, his mother was like, no, take your time. Y'all get to know each other. Don't go to bed mad with each other. Take your time with children. Don't try to have them immediately. So all that you just, basically what his mom is saying, all that you just heard, his dad say, don't even worry about that. This y'all married, y'all take your time. His father gives this advice to them. Chris worked really hard, and when he comes home from work, he gonna need you to break it off. He said just like that, y'all, but pretty much. Like, he said, and it don't need to be no discussion. It don't need to be no no trepidation. Like basically, your duties as a wife to my son, and what's gonna make him happy is that when he comes home from work, you ready, you at the door, like ready, like here I am. Yeah, it was so many things. It was so many things. And then his comments to her girlfriends that she wasn't a trophy wife, and it was like, oh no, yes, she is a trophy wife. It was just so many things, so many things. Because basically, he told them that she's pretty, but she's not the kind of girl that I would typically think pretty. Like she's pretty for other people maybe, but like not my kind of pretty. But he's trying to work it up. And that's what I didn't like about this whole pairing. And because I think she is such a beautiful person, she's such a beautiful soul. And in my opinion, they paired her up with probably the worst person they could have paired her up with, because I'm not understanding how you could even allow him to be on the show, to be with anybody making this kind of commitment. Someone who is just fresh out of a relationship is not ready to be on a show with this kind of emotional pull to it. That is no. And maybe after this season, they won't ever do that again. Maybe we will all scream as so loud to say that was so unfair for her. And maybe they will work. Maybe they will last, but I don't think so. But anyway, so I'm going to go down and I'm going to tell you who I think will make it and who I think will not make it. Of course, my favorite couple, Brianna and Vincent. I think they'll make it. I think they were a very good pairing, and I think they'll do well together. And so I'm rooting for them. Haley and Jacob, they're a question mark for me, just because they were so disconnected the entire time throughout their wedding. There was this chasm that I don't know, but maybe time could walk through that. I don't know. So they're a question mark. I'm not saying no, they won't make it, but I am not sure. Clara and Ryan, I think will make it. They are a thumbs up for me. They are a yes. I think they have enough in common and enough different to make that work. Because for me, the only down part to her is that she's annoying. But I think other than that, and you can always tone that down, I think they'll make it. Virginia and Eric are a maybe for me, but closer to a no. Even though their age difference is not as big as Haley and Jacob, I think their maturity levels maybe. Because Haley is, even though I think there's like a 10-year difference between she and Jacob, I think Haley's a little more mature than Virginia is, and a little more settled. And so I don't know if that is going to work for or against them, because they may meet in the middle. Maybe Virginia and Eric, maybe she'll bring the fun side out of him, and maybe he'll settle her down a little bit, and they'll be able to cohesively, be a unit. I don't know about that. So I'm giving them a maybe, but close to a no. And Paige and Chris, I'm saying no all the way. I have watched several, I haven't watched all 12 seasons, but I've watched several seasons of Married at First Sight, and I think this is the worst couple pairing that I've seen. Just because I don't think that Chris has any business on a show like this. Maybe a dating show, but a show where you're going to legally marry people, I don't think he has any business on it. Not because he's a bad guy, but he is so not ready, in my little opinion. Like I said, y'all, these are my opinions. They are not law. They are not. I just don't think he. I don't think he was ready. I think he has a whole lot of growing up to do. I think he's very, very immature. I think he's very shallow, superficial. I think he thinks the things that don't matter there's so many things that drew out red flags for me. But who knows? Maybe Paige will be the person that No, I'm not going to leave that on her. It's because this is a job for Jesus. Paige is a person. This is a job for Jesus. And maybe God intervenes and helps that union out. But I don't see it. And I got almost kind of upset with Lifetime, all the experts, for even allowing him in this season to be on the show. Like I said, I don't think he's a bad guy. I just think that he's not ready. He's not mature enough for what marriage calls for. But then again, I'm a person and I could be wrong. So y'all let me know in the comments what you all think about this season. And I know I left so much out. Even as I was, going through the recap and review, I'm thinking, oh, I left so much out. But 3 episodes, I think it was about 6 hours, is a lot to wrap up. And I did it in an hour and a half, which was still too long. So y'all let me know what y'all think about in the comments. Y'all know the next episode on tomorrow night is going to be juicy. And so when we get together on next week, we are just going to be going one episode at a time. This was me trying to catch up with everything. And I'm going to have some girlfriends that are going to be on with me chopping this up. So it won't be just my voice that you'll hear. You'll hear it'll be about 4 of us that are going to be talking about this season going forward. So let me know what you think about this season. But most importantly, I want you all to let me know what you think about the couples. Who do you think is going to make it? Who do you think won't make it? Who's your favorite couple? Let me know in the comments, and let's keep the conversation going there. Thank you all that have stayed with me this whole time. I know this was long. The next ones won't be this long. I don't know. I'm going to have my girlfriends with me. They may be this long. But we will see you on next week. Have a great evening.